Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of our Lunchtime Link Up series, where we talk with members of the DivInc community about how we're impacting the tech ecosystem with diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility as our guide. I'm your host, Cherise Luter. I'm the marketing director with DivInc. And today I'm so excited. Today we have the title sponsor for our Women in Tech Accelerator in Houston for the fall 2022 session. Stephanie Saru with SheSpace is joining us today. And the point of these conversations with our partners is we know there's people behind these partnerships. And we want you to hear their stories. I want you to hear about them and their motivations for joining in with DivInc and what they've envisioned and their part they're playing when it comes to diversity. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for joining us. And I'll let you do your own introduction and we'll get into the conversation. Go ahead.
Thank you, Cherise, for having me. You know, my favorite thing to do is to talk, and then doubly flavored is talk about SheSpace and talk with you. So I'm so happy to be here. I am, again, Stephanie Saru, founder and CEO of SheSpace, a women's workplace, plus so much more in Houston, Texas. So behind me, you can see the bright colors so that we are sitting actually in SheSpace today. What we are so proud of at the moment is our programming. It has been our main focus since we opened over a year and a half ago. And DivInc has been on my radar way before the opportunity to partner with them for the Women in Tech Accelerator came up. So that is our focus of conversation today. And so let's dig in.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way to start would be let's hear your founder story. We get to hear the stories of all of our founders in the accelerator. You're a founder too. I'd love to hear the story of how you came to this idea of SheSpace and then how it actually came to be.
I never called myself an entrepreneur, but I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I thought I was like a starter of things. Like I would start things even when I was young, start this, start that. And it's just something I really enjoyed too. Nowadays, you would call it a builder of an entrepreneur. That's what I enjoy the most, assembling the team, bringing the people together. In this instance, it is a team of 33 women that we gathered to start SheSpace. So as we all know, a successful entrepreneurial enterprise has to solve a problem. That's what it's all about. And we all have problems, but a lot of us don't do anything to solve them. My problem, like many women, not just in Houston, but around the world, is we don't all work in an office all the time. Houston is huge geographically, very spread out. So you'd have a meeting on one side of town, you'd have a meeting on another side of town. By travel time, you don't have time to go home, you don't have time to get to the office. You feel like a squatter sitting in a coffee shop drinking the same cup of coffee for 2 hours or water, looking for anywhere, car. Not efficient. My personal pain point was I hate wasting time. I'm very busy, like all women, and I'd be sitting in traffic and getting more and more anxious and thinking what I could be doing with that time. And there had to be a better way. There had to be like a landing spot for women. At the time, I never equated my need to solve the problem with the current trend of co-working spaces. Didn't really know what it was, didn't think it applied to what I was doing. When I dug into this, they said, oh, a co-working space. And we were kind of like, kind of, but not really. It really is about a place for women that have similar situations to come to work, to feel safe in all ways. We do have all women here, 99% women. There are a few men that work for women-owned teams and women-owned companies, but majority of women. So from a safety standpoint, I mean many things. One, we're a locked facility because we're all women here. But what I mean safety and security, I mean women are free to say what's on their mind. Yeah. They are free to sit how they want, wear what they want, express their views. They are not intimidated at all. They can actually just really be yourself. So there's all these things that have been troubling me through the years. There has to be a better way to do this. And indeed, there are many, many women thinking the same thing, and we're all joining together. So ultimately, I found out there are dozens and dozens and dozens of women's organizations in Houston it has always been my belief. I don't mean to call them splinter organizations, but when you have a construction here and architecture here and tech here and they're all women in energy and they're all building within their organizations but not coming together to unify, and I really felt that that's where we were going to really move the needle, make progress. So I wanted a place to do all of those things, and then lo and behold, all these other things came about. Women are like, we want offices and we want conference rooms and we want meeting rooms and podcast studio. One thing I am really good at is listening. So the list just kept getting longer and longer, and the team of women just kept getting bigger and bigger. And that is how SheSpace came about.
That's fantastic. I love you mentioning it's not just about the security of I guess your physical security, but it is
Right.
about being able to take the armor off. I think whenever when I walk with SheSpace, it's immediately feels I can take the armor off and just be me. And I'm sure that was purposeful with the design and that. I mean, we can see the design
the
behind
bright colors.
Yeah, the way you even approach the design. Can you tell us a little about that? Because I know that was very intentional.
So what I oftentimes hear is people look us up on the website and the colors are fabulous, the photography is fabulous, the videography is fabulous, but you really need to feel it. So we definitely have like an energetic feel, which you don't feel when you're looking at the pictures, but when you walk in, and everyone says this, you're just like, wow, you walk in and you really feel it. So it's very intentional. It's very purposeful. The colors were picked exclusively for what they represent. So traditionally, we have worked in neutrals, grays and browns and beiges. And if you look it up on the color scale, it does nothing for making you feel inspired or creative or motivated. I mean, so think about it. So if you really want to get a lot done and be energized, you don't go sit in like a gray-black room. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at all when you think about it. So the colors were picked to motivate us, and it really works. And you have to see it to feel it.
You have to see it. And I hate to send droves of people to SheSpace, or maybe
I know. The more the merrier. Come on.
You really do have to see it. So so SheSpace was born, you said, a little over a year, correct?
Year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. So we executed the lease December 24th of 2019. And so we were already when COVID hit, and there was no turning back. I was at that time, I mean, we didn't know if it was going to be a 3-day thing or a 3-month thing or a 3-year thing. And lo and behold, here we are. But we went ahead, and the only thing it negatively affected us was like the supply chain interruption for construction. But we had an amazing female construction manager, just like I said, everyone else involved is also female, and everyone really came together. She's like, I need this one light. If I have to drive to Seattle to get the one light, I'm going to go to Seattle and get the one light. So women really came together, went above and beyond. I have to say, did a whole lot for little, just because they were so in love with the project and dedicated to the project as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, please go visit if you can, because being in the space, it really, you can feel the love and the intention that you put towards creating it. So related to your work with DivInc and your work with this specific accelerator, what was your vision when you were really thinking about, partnering with us or even just partnering with anyone on particular women's issues, the why behind that and your vision of that?
So from the very beginning, diversity was something that we keyed in on, not just at SheSpace, but just in my life in general. One single perspective does nothing. I mean, a singular perspective does nothing. It leaves you with a single narrow perspective. So from the very beginning, we keyed in on it. I have always lived my life, and our family has always lived our lives just very broadly, welcoming everyone. it's something I was raised with, even with my parents. And so it's just, I just don't really know any different.
Yeah.
You can walk through SheSpace and it's not much different than walking down a sidewalk in New York City. I mean, you see a little bit of absolutely everything. It's like going to Herman Park where you can walk along and see everything and hear everything. And that's really what makes it so interesting. And it's an opportunity for women to get to meet other women that they would never get to meet otherwise.
Right.
That's my favorite thing. Every day women come in, and more than likely our paths would never cross if not for SheSpace. So now we have all these just personal collaborations, not just professional, personal collaborations going on, friendships being made. So we're crossing lines, crossing borders, we're digging into people's blind spots,
Yeah.
getting rid and breaking down stereotypes and prejudices and discrimination. Just
Through
it's
relationships.
wonderful. And it's coming about because of all the relationships. So when you look at what's going on here, how I live my life, how my family lives, and what you represent, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I'm so excited because I had a moment at one of our recent events where we had the women VC leaders, and I overheard someone say, "I didn't even know there were 4 women VCs in Houston."
Yeah.
And to your point, it's sometimes we don't even know we exist in these spaces. So you
Right.
deliberately bringing everyone under one roof allows us to even just discover that the other person even exists. You may think you're the only woman in that industry, and lo and behold, you cross paths with someone who's right there along with you. So
And the really beautiful thing is that another key focus of ours is to dispel the myth that women don't get along well together, can't work well together, can't play well together. I mean, that's always been something that's dangled up there. I've never really understood it. We don't see it here. We wouldn't tolerate it, even if it was here. So I mean, that's an aside, but I mean, we could go on and on about the benefits, but women not only get along here, they are cheering very loudly alongside, and often, they're competitors. I mean, they are cheering because they're women, they're working hard. They may be at different places on the path,
right.
different places on the journey, but they're all on a journey to where they want to get, and they want their friend, their colleague to succeed.
Yeah, I love that. And that's exactly what you need. Sometimes you just need someone walking alongside you. You don't need you don't necessarily need someone to pick you up and take you, but you just need someone just right there next to you. So that's definitely what SheSpace is providing. And I'm so excited because I think everyone knows where our accelerator usually is hosted at the Ion, but we will be at SheSpace hosting a good majority of the workshops events during the 12 weeks. So what are you most excited about having the companies under your roof and being a part of the SheSpace family for forever, hopefully?
So when we sat down and started talking about this and modeling this and what is this going to look like, the value of women like still entering the entrepreneurial world. I mean, they're not taking their first step, but they are still kind of transitioning into full-blown entrepreneurship. To see women that are just a little bit ahead of them, and they will be walking among these women. They will see what they're doing. They will see them working. And without saying a word, there's like this implied understanding. It's like, oh, okay, these women have done it. These women are doing it. I know I can do it. It's going to get done. I mean, it's that feeling that they're going to be, it's kind of like an immersive atmosphere.
Yeah.
They're going to be sitting among other women doing the same thing, just a little bit ahead of them.
Yeah. And then I think one of the most valuable things that I noticed in the other accelerators as well is it just breeds the sharing of knowledge, because within DivInc and I know within SheSpace, we never come to it with the idea that we have the monopoly on the information in the room. And it's always everyone brings all of their ideas into the room, and then we collaborate and solve. So That's one of the things I'm most excited about, because yes, we'll be in that atmosphere, and it'll be all women doing that together. So, I mean,
It's like mind-blowing, exploding, exciting. I
oh,
can't, I can't, it's getting close and I just can't wait.
yeah. So I'd love to find out, what all is SheSpace involved in? Most of our partners, they have either worked really hard within the diversity space, and then their partnership with DivInc is kind of a continuation of that. And then while others sometimes
Mhm.
is kind of them dipping a toe into something that they've never been before. But this is a continuation for you, I would imagine. So I'm thinking,
Yeah,
oh, go
we're
ahead.
immersed in it every day. Yeah. I think this is just expanding what
Yeah.
we're doing. I think it's just furthering our reach, which is really exciting. It's, the ripple effect. The women will see it here, they'll get exposure here, they'll take it with them. And the women in here, not everyone, of course, is in tech. Someone, I think it's kind of a well-known term, but when I first heard it, I was like, wow, I wish I would have thought of that. Industry agnostic. So
Mm.
I heard that somebody said, oh, SheSpace is industry agnostic. I go, yes, we are. I thought that was just so cool. So we have everyone in here, from a veterinarian to an opera singer and everywhere in between. We have absolutely everyone in here, every industry represented. So it's not all tech. So I do think a lot of these women that are involved in not traditional tech companies, oftentimes there can be a tech component to them. And so I do hear them thinking, well, I could, so it's kind of like lighting the fire under some of the women that are already in here about expanding the way they could do their business. And so again, far reaching implications.
Yeah. Do you have anything that's another goal that you're working towards within this space, whether with DivInc or not? But anything that you want to tackle along with what you're already doing?
Well, the programming is a huge thing for me. We are really ramping up our workshops. So what we have is we have all our members. Um, we offer to our members, if they have a subject matter that they feel they're an expert in, if they would like to speak on that subject, then we open that up to them. And so we let them kind of do like a tickler. It's open to all our membership. This is part of what we do inside of SheSpace, and we have opportunities anywhere between 5 and 8 a month for members to represent what they're doing. And again, it's anywhere from, we have artists in here, we have designers in here. So they will give a talk and give a tickler. And an example would be, tonight is a financial vision board class with Agility Bank, and they will be starting office hours inside SheSpace here. So every other week, they're going to be here for like 3 hours a week, and they will be offering office hours. So that kind of explains how this works. So they will be given a little tickler tonight, doing a vision board workshop. Then they're launching their office hours. So other people will be giving a tickler, whether it'll be like on mental health. We have several physicians in here, or artists or whatever. And then they will give a workshop. We just had a woman named Mona Zagarelli who is a business etiquette coach. And she gave a class. We need to have it for the accelerator, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to take a note of that.
Yeah. All the things is, and so then now she will do a workshop, a more in-depth workshop, instead of just an hour-long talk. Everything like, how do you like really kind of get out of like an awkward handshake, and like all the things that we all still need to learn and improve on. And so another example is, we have a dyslexia therapist in here, and she is giving a workshop for parents of dyslexic children. So it just goes on, on and on, the opportunities.
That sounds amazing. Okay, so
So
I'm gonna. We had
I guess yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if I answered your question. So it's to continue to build up the programming, because the more we build up the programming, the more opportunities for learning things women are going to receive. And it isn't necessarily a job skill. It can be about life. Like, how do you manage your child that has dyslexia? So that's inside SheSpace going on right now. And of course, there's always the word growth.
Fantastic. Well, we had the website go up a second ago, where you could visit to find out more about SheSpace programming and all of the offerings that are going on there on a month-to-month basis. I have to admit, if to have someone like you on, I have to ask some questions on behalf of the founders that are watching.
Okay.
Of
My
course,
favorite questions.
yes. So, I mean, share a little pearls of wisdom. I know you have them in there. So, I gotta ask, what are some of the big lessons you learned as you were moving through founding and bringing forth SheSpace and the process and all that? What are some big lessons that you learned?
So, like I said, I've been starting things my whole life.
Yeah.
So I did not need to be convinced to pull the idea out of my brain. So that's the easy part for me. What I've learned is that I had to ask for help. So for somebody that's very, very independent, you cannot do it all yourself. And I certainly can't do everything well. And I think everyone around me does everything much better than I do. So I started with this idea. I worked on it for several months, talked to a lot of women, and this is way bigger than one person can do. So I went to talk to my daughter-in-law, Katie, who really has the finance mind, and she asked all the right questions. She's brilliant. She's patient because I'm the visionary. So like I'm bouncing all over the place, and she's so good at what she does, and she asks wonderful questions. So the thing is to bring in people, and don't you always hear this? Bring in people a lot smarter than you. So, but when you really pare that down, really what they're saying is bring in an IT team or an IT person that their specialty is in IT. I can't know everything there is to know about IT and marketing. I mean, you have to have help, but there's very economical ways to do that too. There's only a 3-person SheSpace team, just three. So we work with team, we consult with people, but we have kept our team very, very, very small. So we can move very quickly, and we ask for help from the professionals when we need it.
That's a good one. I think that was a lesson that took the longest for me to learn as an entrepreneur, is asking for help. Because I think
and that's not failing, right?
It almost like asking for help made me feel like I needed help, but that isn't necessarily the truth. It's just those people who can do it and do it right the first time and do it well will be able to push me further faster. So
no one can know everything. It's just not possible. And even, you may know a lot about you may know a little about a lot of things. It's not possible to be an expert in everything. And that's why people specialize nowadays. And honestly, asking for help is not a weakness. It is a strength.
I'm going to internalize that.
And everybody knows the common denominator in entrepreneurs, as we're workhorses. You just work, work and work and work. I've also learned that you have to take time off. You have to let your brain rest. You have to. I just came back from 3 days with my family. And resting causes me anxiety. But I am learning that it is mandatory, because you keep thinking I could be doing this and this and this, but it's not sustainable. Working very long hours day after day after day is actually counterproductive. Is everybody shaking their heads at me like she's crazy?
No, I think everybody knows it, but we don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
That one more email syndrome, and then you look up and it's 12 a.m.
Yeah. No.
Well, I think one last thing I'd want to ask you, connected to our what our founders would want to know is, when it was time to get started, what got you started? I know that's something that you consistently you've created things and you've started things your whole life, but I think some founders may be kind of analysis paralysis. They may are constantly thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and wondering when's the right moment to actually start. And you said even COVID didn't stop you from starting. So how do you get to that place and being able to just start?
I think you have to really believe in what you're doing. So if you are lukewarm about your idea, I actually had someone, she's been working on something, and instead of like really owning it, she kept calling it an experiment. And I'm like, so
Oh,
that is not believing in what you're doing. So once you have to really believe in what you're doing. And I've had some really wise people tell me it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to execute, like partially execute it. You can't wait for every single thing. So we have a brick and mortar. So that's a little bit different
yeah.
because it had to be built, and then everything had to be done inside it. But for an idea to come to life, I think you just have to believe in it.
Oh, I love that.
I
And then
mean, if you believe in it, you just get very excited about it.
yeah. And then nothing, including a global pandemic, will get in your way.
No.
If there's is there anything else that you'd want to share with our audience about SheSpace, or anything that's coming up, or anything you'd like to let us know about?
So I'm talking just about women in general, and specifically women that work at home. So we do spend a lot of time working just on well-being and emotional well-being, psychological health. So women, and this really has nothing to do with SheSpace, although it is part of an answer to a problem, but it doesn't have to be SheSpace. It can be anywhere. Working from home all the time is isolating and not healthy. I mean, we'd love you to come to SheSpace or to the Ion, or heaven forbid, go to the coffee shop. Just don't sit at home. We have women that come in here literally bursting into tears, and they said, I just can't stay home anymore. It just isn't healthy. So get yourself out, get you a support group. And I don't know the founders that are listening today, but so many women have moved to Houston during the pandemic and they don't know anybody. It's a hard time. I mean, we're obviously coming out of it, but they have had a hard time meeting people. So reach out to somebody that's new in your neighborhood or on your apartment hall, and try to make friends. I mean, because ultimately it's about bringing women together. So we
Yeah.
just happen to do it inside us, in offices and meeting rooms and all that. But it doesn't have to be here. It can be anywhere.
Yeah. Just find your community.
Find your community. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for spending time talking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for supporting our Women in Tech Accelerator here in Houston. I think that the addition of the SheSpace team to our greater family, and I hope we're now part of your family as well. It's been one of the best decisions that that we could have made, and I hope you feel the same way about us. And
Absolutely.
and we're so excited to launch this accelerator cohort and take up some space at SheSpace. Look at that.
Look at you.
I know, right? It's almost
Okay.
like work in marketing. I can't help it. But
Well, thank you. And thanks everyone for listening, and just keep doing the good stuff.
well, like I said, our Houston cohort, it launches this month, and we will be at SheSpace and at the Ion, and so that'll be coming soon. We'll be having some happy hours and some meet the cohort events coming up. So stay tuned and follow us on social media to find out more. You can also visit our events page to find out about more things that are happening in Houston. And we are also recruiting for our Austin Women in Tech Accelerator that will be happening in February of next year. So we are right now, applications are open for that accelerator. So if you're interested, send in your information, let us know who you are, And maybe you'll be a part of our cohort in Austin in the spring. Thank you again, Stephanie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening. Until next time, have a great day.